do a few review pieces around best practice that are things that go into this comprehensive plan. Do you have a vision? Is it clear and concise? Does everybody know it? Can they repeat it? You know, ministers love every word they write. They write most of the vision statements, and they're 4 paragraphs long, and nobody knows them. Even the minister can't repeat them. Does the vision inspire? Is it spiritually grounded in the core principles of the Christian faith? And is it rational and reasonable? Can we do it with God's help? You know, very important. We've already kind of touched on this in other lectures, but I just want to come back to it. And the vision should be being revisited regularly, annually, by a group that's looking forward in the church as to where we're headed. And this vision statement is so important because we want to measure everything else through it. We want to let it be the guide that determines what we do and what we don't do as church and how we run our policies. So the vision is crucial. How are we going to teach stewardship through the coming year? Not just, we got this 3-week thing coming. We've got to go do our budget now. So let's go to the Sunday school classes and tell the kids about small potatoes. Are we going to offer adult and youth Sunday school classes during the course of a year for a 6-week, 8-week, 3-week, 10-week period, whatever you decide? Are we going to teach it? Are we going to teach the broad concepts of stewardship that have to do with more than money? We're going to offer it in small group form in Sunday school. Are we going to talk about it in our new members classes? Are we going to teach it to our kids? How often are we going to do this? Will you offer personal finance classes? I think this is hugely important now for the church. Our folks are in debt up to their eyeballs. They don't know which way is up or out from the situation they find themselves in financially, and it's only getting worse. And they don't believe they have a capacity to be generous. So how do we help them? Well, we help them get their personal finances in order. We teach them how to budget. We teach them how to plan financially. We teach them how to save, and in the process also teach them how to give so that they can live in faithful relationship to Jesus Christ. Crown Financial, Dave Ramsey, both offer very different but very usable courses for this, and you can teach your own, and you can download after Labor Day of this year. You can download from the Center for Faith and Giving a finance class that I teach that's a couple hours long that just does a review and looks a lot like what you and I did together at the beginning of this class. Who's going to teach that class? Is the pastor going to teach that class? Maybe not the best choice. Maybe you have a layperson. Personal finance person, a banker, a person in the community who's respected around the issue of money, who doesn't look like they have some agenda they're coming in to sell you something, who could help. And whose material will you use? What's it going to look like theologically? Remember that the process of stewardship education should be separate from raising funds to underwrite the budget. This is how we help differentiate stewardship from fundraising. Your education process should include the cultivation of accumulated resources. We want people to give, and we want them to give ultimately from their estate as well as from the current earnings that they have now. Because the church is important to them, we want them to be able to put into play the support for a ministry or activity that has been valuable to them, that they like, that they want to see carried forward. This is an opportunity for them, not just for the church to receive, but this is an opportunity for them to give and to have a legacy for something that has been meaningful for them. Your education process should include that accumulated resource piece. It should also be reminding people of all the ways in which they practice stewardship. Those curly little light bulbs, that reduce our carbon footprint and save us money on our electric bill. Looking at alternative forms of travel, in our commuting, etc. How do we make a smaller footprint? Recycling. Should we be concerned about what's in the water we drink? Should we know what's there? Should we be talking to our local government about how we clean up the earth? Do we just throw those lithium-ion batteries away in the garbage dump? which are very bad for the environment, or does the church have a box that receives batteries that we then take to a place that deals appropriately with batteries, with those old big monitors from our computers and old television sets and things that are bad to put in landfills? Are we helping people practice these things? Do we help them with their spiritual practice of keeping Sabbath? Do we help them with the spiritual practice of physical discipline so that they're healthy and that the temple of the Holy Spirit, their body, is in good repair and good shape? These are the things we need to be thinking about. And then for you as preacher, how often are you going to use the pulpit to address this issue at times in the church year other than the financial campaign? Part of what you want to do is look for stories that reinforce the biblical stories, things that are happening in your church that connect with the Bible stories. Help them come alive as living examples that affirm what the congregation is doing. And at the same time, in keeping with the way the Bible functions, are there texts that really challenge us? Are there behaviors where we're not in line with what the text asks us to do or think about? Practices that we need to shape and change so that we have the marks and fruit of being a faithful church. And for you as preacher, this is a huge area to look at. Don't forget the power of relationships. Utilize those to tell the story of God's generosity and how we respond. It is much better to let a layperson lead a minute for mission or an offering meditation than for the clergy person to do it. It has a sense of credibility. There's a relationship with the folks in the pews, and people can talk about the things about which they are most passionate. Now, here's where we go back and we figure out, how do we choose these people? Well, you want folks who are relatively comfortable speaking in public, folks who might be willing to write down and rehearse and maybe practice with you what they're going to do, so we don't get lots of ums and ahs and we go on for 10 minutes and something we could have said in a minute and a half. That's all important. But you want people who are practicing stewardship. You want people who are really living it out. And sometimes that's not always obvious to us. So here, a visit to the financial secretary of saying, hey, can I have the names of 10 people who it looks to you like from your work, in no particular order, seem to get it? Because they may know that it's not just the size of the amount that's being given. They may know the faithful widow who is giving at for them what's an exceptional level, though it wouldn't make the top 10 givers in the church. At the same time, those folks who are giving generously also need to be included. So you need to kind of work that out and how you choose those folks and who speaks to these things. But it's better for your lay folks to do it than for you. And then don't forget to say thank you. Again, we do such a terrible job at this at church because of this conspiracy of silence and secrets. We don't know who's giving what. We don't know when it comes in, how much comes in, and so we don't say thank you. And that is so backward from the way the rest of the world deals with this issue. I can't give $10 to the American Cancer Society without getting 3 letters that not only thank me for my gift, but also, of course, encourage me to make another gift. We talked about this already in the previous slide, getting your larger donors together to tell their stories and become ambassadors for your mission. This is something Cliff Christopher suggests. It's dangerous. It's a volatile thing to play with, but it has some reward to it if you think about it, of whether or not in a larger church setting, this will not work, I don't believe, in a small church setting, but in a larger church setting with more than 100 in worship, maybe you can get your top givers together for an evening to thank them, some punch and some cookies. Let them tell each other why they think it's important that they're doing this, and then let them work recognizing who's not in the room that they think ought to be, not to say, well, we had this event, you weren't there, but to be able to just talk to them about why giving to the church is important and encouraging them to practice their own generosity. Again,